All right, the best UFC predictors on YouTube, the face of MMA media. We are back talking UFC 317 International Fight Week. Going into this year, what was International Fight Week going to be? It was going to be Islam versus Ilia. It was going to be Tom Aspinall versus whatever that, John Jones. It was going to be DDP versus Hamzat. They were all going to be on the same card, some people were. That was a rumor that people were running with. We're getting none of those, but we still got fireworks. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. We got kind of a suspect card going after that, which we are going to get into. But Ballin' and Brawlin', we are back. Before we go any further, tell your friends, hit the like, comment, subscribe. I want you guys to comment your main card predictions for those 5 fights. If you sweep the card, which no one has ever done because you guys don't even comment on it other than Yas, shout out to Yas and some of your other friends. None of my friends comment on anything. But if you sweep the card, Justin's going to have a big surprise for you. I can't say what it is just now, but we are back. UFC 317 International Fight Week. Before we get into the predictions, as we said, the card has changed a lot. We had a couple people drop out. We had some new additions. We had some people moving up, and we had some disappointment in the fight. The way the order is now, right? We got Payton Talbott versus Lima moving up the card. Before we go any further, Justin, tell me what you think of this card as a whole, right? International Fight Week. It's a big deal. It used to be a big deal. It used to mean something. The UFC used to mean something, but in the big 2025, it doesn't seem like it does anymore. Justin, could you tell me your thoughts, the outlook of this card as a whole before we get into any predictions?
Yeah, so obviously Ilia Charles is an unbelievable headliner. Couldn't be more excited for that fight. But like you said, International Fight Week's supposed to be this kind of celebration or this big event. I get it. They think that their headliner kind of covers everything, but as we know, just a little women's title fight co-main event or a little even, Pantoja.
Basically a women's fight. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying they throw in these second title fights that aren't really like huge fights. Again, Kaikar France versus Pantoja, it's a good fight, but International Fight Week, I expect kind of, it should be a pretty loaded card. But I'm not complaining about this card compared relative to the year that we've had so far. We have the fight nights are getting ridiculous. They might as well have me versus Hebs as a co-main. And
minus 220 probably for me, I think.
The year has not been good. We have some big ones coming up. We got Hamzat DDP. Let's hope that they both show up.
Have you seen that card, dude? I just was that card stinks. That card is so bad.
I have not taken a look at the whole card, but
save your time.
Yeah, at least they got Ilia and Charles, bro. Ilia, obviously, in my opinion, one of the biggest stars in the sport, along with Charles. But Ilia's just got all the momentum, and he's, it's big right now. But look, we've seen this before. We've seen, guys on the rise when McGregor was on the rise, and it was, I don't know if it was International Fight Week or not, but no, it wasn't International Fight Week when he fought Diaz the first time, or maybe it was.
I don't think it was. I don't remember.
No, that was when he fought Mendez. He fought Mendez International Fight Week. That's what it was. But like I'm saying, Ilia's, they want Ilia to be this star. He is a star already, but I'm saying, obviously, I think they would like for him to win this fight, set up that Islam versus Ilia fight, but they both have to win, and they both have tough matchups. But yeah, dude, I'm excited about this one. Hopefully this can kick off, a wave of good events for the year, because it's been a slow start this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I think the UFC always ends up shooting. Well, I can't say that they're the ones shooting themselves in the foot. Somebody else maybe is shooting themselves in the foot, because these cards get hype that they don't necessarily deserve, right? Because everyone was saying that this was going to be Ilia versus Islam, or a lot of people thought it was going to be Tom versus John for a while, because everyone was booking that for the summer. Again, maybe that's not the UFC's fault, but we're not getting that. And I guess it could have been Ilia versus Islam if Bilal beats JDM a couple months ago, because that was, that's when they announced this fight. Bro, they moved, Felipe Lima versus Payton Talbott. I believe it was on the early prelims, not even the prelims. First of all, a very weird fight. Payton Talbott goes from being one of the hottest prospects, literally and figuratively, in the UFC, and then he loses a fight as a minus 1,200 favorite. He gets wrestled into oblivion. And now Felipe Lima is a problem. I haven't seen too much of the guy. This guy's got a lot of hype around him. Again, if Talbot struggles with grapplers, it seems like Talbot is getting punished for that loss. But he's not getting punished now because they throw that fight on the main card. That is not an International Fight Week main card. It's a good fight. It's actually a great fight. It's two of the best prospects at 35. The winner is probably going to move on and fight someone big. That fight has no business being on the main card of International Fight Week. You get Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. How is Costa still in the UFC, bro? That fight goes on. I haven't even seen. I don't know if it was. We can all assume it was Costa, but if it was Costa, he probably would have gotten thrown out of the UFC. They moved that fight a month in the future. I don't know that this fight needs some more firepower. I thought it was going to get it after the Costa fight got postponed, and then they just pull up a fight from the prelims. I don't love that. Again, we had Royval versus Manel Kopp. He was supposed to fight. Kopp pulls out. And now we got Joshua Van. What do you think of Joshua Van? I don't know if we got to go through each individual fight, but I know Joshua Van, a guy you were on very early. You were at his UFC debut, which was like under 2 years ago, I believe. The kid's 23 years of age, and he is red hot. He's won like 4 in a row. He just fought on the last pay-per-view card, which was 2 weeks ago. The guy's turning around and fighting twice in 3 weeks. This is like his 4th fight in like a couple of months. It's unbelievable. Is this too big of a step up? Because he just got a number next to his name, and now he's fighting the legit number, a guy who, if he didn't have 2 losses to the champion Pantoja, who's also on this card, I would assume Royval would already be in a title shot. Is this too fast? Is this too soon for Joshua Van?
Yeah, like you said, this Van's turning around on such short notice. Dana loves it. It pays the guy $15K. He shows up, fights, and he fights again 2 weeks later. But it's going to be a big test for him. I always, tend to lean with the more experience, and especially in this division, a guy like Royval, obviously, who's been through, he's fought a lot of guys. He's fought Pantoja multiple times. He's been in there with the elites. And we're gonna find out pretty quickly if Van's the real deal, because this is gonna be a true big test. And just going back to what you said about the Talbot fight, it's so true. It's crazy that some of these guys that people are talking as our top prospects, and listen, prospects lose in this sport. It happens sometimes, like especially early on in their careers, as they're still, sharpening their tool bag and getting better. They can go out and get beat, especially in a 3-round fight. So we see Talbot lose, and it's really weird. It's like they go to the war room on Tuesday and they're like, this prospect wants to lose. All right, fuck him. We're gonna go throw him in there with like heat now.
Crazy, bro.
And it's crazy. So they are kind of throwing him in there with heat with Lima, but I think that has a chance to be maybe the most entertaining fight on the main card, honestly, before the main event. I think Dariush Moicano is going to be a very entertaining fight. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the Van Royval fight. I think Royval's experience is gonna show in that one. But that's why we'll be paying for the pay-per-view Saturday to see. So we'll
speak for yourself. I think it's, again, the Talbot thing is so weird to me. Like, betting in the UFC, and this is coming from one of the biggest sharks in MMA media, like, these guys, that was the same with O'Malley. I'll never forget O'Malley versus Cheeto the first time when Cheeto won, because Cheeto was like a decent guy. He had won like 4 or 5 in a row, and O'Malley is like minus like 400 in that fight. Like, these guys get these crazy odds, and it's just because they have this like following around them. Like, Talbot should not have been minus 1,000 in that fight. Like, I don't know. And then they get punished. It's like, everyone was calling him the next O'Malley because he's like, this weird, interesting guy. And like, he was getting some hype around him, and then he was coming out and knocking people out in 15 seconds. So,
dude, even like the last fight with O'Malley in the rematch, it's like, bro, once that fight week came and I saw everyone, oh, Sean, he hasn't jacked off. He hasn't done this and that. He's dialed. He's plus. I get Sugar Show plus 280, brother. That couldn't scream more of a dominant showing from Marab. It's a terrible matchup for him. He's plus 280 for a reason.
He was less. I think he was plus 220, dude. It
dropped. It dropped. People were hammering him all week during the fight week. It dropped. Dude, it could be a worse matchup for
O'Malley. Marab won. Remember, O'Malley finished. Yeah. He closed as the favorite, or it was like a toss-up. Like, so weird. But again, I think betting the lines in UFC is like way different than other sports. But again, like Talbott on paper, he should not have been that big of a favorite. So it's weird that he's getting punished. And now he's an underdog. But again, I don't see that card. That should not be on the main card of International Fight Week. You mentioned Moicano versus Dariush. That was the fight that was supposed to happen in January before Arman pulls out. Moicano gets pulled up. Dariush, kind of an interesting. I don't know where he really fits in at lightweight. Like, I don't know where either of these guys fit in. Like, Moicano was on this run and everyone loves him. And I'm happy because now he's become a big name. I'm sure he's making a ton more money. Actually, he's also in the podcasting game, so no free shout outs there. But like, he's shown that he's not championship material. Dariush, I mean, he's kind of shown that as well, right? He had his shot. He was a favorite against Oliveira, which is funny to look back on. He gets knocked out, and then Arman fucking destroys him. So I don't know. That was his last fight, Sarukian, as he fought Pence. Yeah, because it was supposed to be in January. So I don't know. The winner of this fight is probably lightweight is in such a weird position. So I don't know that I'm going to go with Moicano because you don't know what version of Dariush is going to show up. Yeah, I don't know if I have a Cape versus Van. I think Royval is still he's kind of being undervalued here. It's like even money, man. Like this is the number one contender in the division. This is like kind of in that Max Holloway gatekeeper purgatory where like you would be fighting for the belt if you didn't have a couple losses versus the champion. I think I'm rolling. I kind of just want to pick Van, but Van's the sexy pick. I think you got to go with Raw Dog. Speaking of not cranking hog, you go with Raw Dog, Royval. Let's just get right into it, dude. The co-main event. I know you actually picked Kai Kara-France to knock out Steve Erceg in his last opportunity when he was a pretty big underdog because Erceg had a lot of hype at the time. We've both been on the Pantoja train. People forget that they've actually fought before because Pantoja has literally cleared out this division. Pantoja is the most slept-on champion, the most slept-on fighter in the UFC. He continues to get disrespected. He's like it's like the featherweights or flyweights, excuse me. They're going to be the last champion ranked in the pound-for-pound rankings. If you win the belt, if you're JDM or DDP, when you just jump over the flyweight champion, even though he's defended the belt 3 times and he's beat every guy in the top 10. He's beat the top 2 guys in the top. He's beat the top 2 guys in the division. He's 5-0 against them. It's insane. He keeps getting disrespected. Let's get into some breakdowns. How do you see this fight going?
Yeah, like you said, Pantoja's been one of the more dominant champions in the sport the last year or 2 years. And you look at the guys in this division, I don't see guys that really match up with him physically on a strength level. And like, don't get me wrong, Kai Kara, some of these guys can scramble their way out of things and things like that. But when I look at a fight like this, I'm like, dude, until he fights a guy like I don't know if there's anyone in the division right now. Yeah. Marab, obviously, like a guy that he can't just overpower. Because when Pantoja gets clipped or like overwhelmed or anything like that, he just like almost in a bull in a china shop comes forward and gets a takedown and things like that. I think he'll be able to do that in this one. You have to kind of respect the stand up of Kai Kara-France and the capability of his hands. He's shown that. And he's shown to be game. Like I don't count him out of this fight, but I think 8 times out of 10, Pantoja gets this one done. I see him getting this one done on Saturday, but how do you see this one playing out, Hebs?
I'm looking up so Pantoja's 35, right? And usually guys in those lighter weight classes start to turn around that age, but But I will say, Kai Kara-France has a weird record in the UFC. Like, he does have more losses than you would think. I think stylistically, he matches up well with Pantoja, right? Because you have the wrestling of Pantoja. Kai Kara-France has very, very good takedown defense, right? So, and I would say he has the most power at 125. I don't know if I'm missing someone. Obviously, Figgy had like the greatest power ever for that division. You don't have flyweights or even up to 35. Like, you don't really have that like one punch, touch of death knockout power. Kai Kara-France has that. He's got a ton of first round knockouts. He's got a ton of knockouts. We just saw him spark out Usyk in the first round. Usyk went 5 tough rounds with Pantoja, and then again, Kai Kara sleeps him in the first. I'm sure he had some, lingering damage from that Pantoja fight for sure. But Kai Kara's got great takedown defense. And as you said, his hands, he's got great hands. He's got real power for this division. He's got good boxing. But I'm not going to pick anyone to beat Pantoja right now. I really like this guy, man. And as I said, he's the most underrated fighter in the UFC. But he's almost, not to say getting overrated, but like, all you ever hear is anyone say how underrated he is. You don't, but I would love to see the Merab fight. I think for both of them, like for Merab, no one in that division is beating him. No one comes close in the grappling, more so in the cardio. We've seen Pantoja go 5 hard rounds time and time again. His grappling is next level. His toughness is next level. I'm not saying I'm picking him to beat Merab, but I'm not picking anyone to beat Merab. I think out of those guys in the top 5, I mean, he's already beat everyone. So I really want that fight. Pantoja has said that he's not too interested in it. I don't know why, and I definitely don't like hearing that. So I'm assuming it's not going to happen, but I would want to see Pantoja Merab. I see Pantoja winning this fight the same way he's won every fight. I'm sure he'll get clipped. He'll get rocked. I think it'll look a lot like the Usyk fight. Like he'll be in trouble a couple times and he'll end up winning the fight. Probably like a 48-47, 49-46, something like that. Again, I believe Kai Kara-France is going to rock him a couple times, but I'm not going to pick anyone to beat Pantoja. And I don't even know if he can get knocked out. We've seen this guy get clipped. Speaking of Figgy's power, this guy got rocked. Out of all Figgy is like, or this is the only guy who's like fought Figgy, got cracked by Figgy and lived to tell the tale. Moreno certainly has done that too. But I got Pantoja by decision. And then hopefully he moves up because, I mean, he has literally cleared out this division. Or hopefully Van beats Royval, and then we could get Van in there. And then he's going to lose and get submitted in second round. Play the theme music, dude. All right. Ilia Topuria. I am fired up to see this guy back in the octagon. We thought it was going to be a ton of different people. They made it very clear the Volk rematch was happening. He ends up moving up because there was no business having that fight again. He was moving up, chasing Islam Makhachev. If you don't know who that guy is, give him a quick Google. He was good. That's you can't say John Jones didn't duck Tom and then come right around an hour later and say that Islam ducked Ilya. No, I'm not hearing it. Islam, but he did. So you can say it because he completely ducked him. Ducks. He wanted no part of Ilia Topuria, and for good reason. Have you ever seen this silky smooth Ryman cat can throw down like no one we've ever seen in the UFC, bro? Man, I'm fired up for this guy. I don't know if you saw the picture of him next to Raul Rosas. I don't know if he's a true. Yeah, I don't know if he's a true lightweight, and I don't know if you've seen a picture of Charles Oliveira next to anyone. That guy is huge.
I've seen Charles Oliveira. I've been shoulder to shoulder with Charles Oliveira. The guy's big, bro.
He made you look small, which I've made a career of doing, right? So
hey, the guy is big. I'm worried about the size for sure. This is going to be an absolute firework main event. I don't see this fight getting outside of round 3 at the most. 2 to be 2. I think this fight ends early, to be honest with you.
Well, how do you see it going? Take the floor.
Look, everyone knows today's day and age, this guy at Alicante, Spain, Ilia Topuria, is my favorite fighter on the planet today. He's fighting a guy in Charles who is a superstar in the sport. He's done a lot of things. But make no mistake about it, he's fighting the absolute. In my opinion, this guy, if he can knock out Charles on Saturday, he might become maybe the biggest star in the sport. To be honest with you,
I agree.
I see Charles coming out. He's gonna. I don't think he sees Ilia shooting on him. So I think Charles comes out early, aggressive on the front foot, like we talk about. When he doesn't feel that threat of a takedown, he applies pressure early. He's going to think that he can probably bully Ilia a little bit, and we'll see. Maybe he can. But I think we see Ilia mix in a takedown early just to keep him honest. He did it to Max. I see him maybe doing this to Charles, just to keep him honest early. And I think what's going to happen is Charles is going to – he's going to land something here and there on Ilia, and Ilia is going to say, all right, bite down on the mouthpiece, and he's going to say, all right, let's start to exchange. Eventually, I'm going to land the shot that's going to put you out, and make no mistake about it, Ilia Topuria via second round KO.
I love it.
Yeah, this is
one of my favorite songs.
Hold on, we gotta wait to the part. And then this is everyone in the crowd with their roses. Ay, 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 ay. I got Ilia Topuria via second round KO.
Yeah.
Hebs, what do you think about this one?
I love it, dude. So I think what's interesting, what I don't see anyone talking about. So obviously the greatest back-to-back wins in UFC history, I would say, 2 top 15 fighters of all time. Volk, probably a top 10 fighter of all time. He sparked them both. Max and Volk, for how good they are, for how dominant they were, and for their styles, for being strikers, no knockout power, right? No power on either of those cats. I know some will even argue and say that Max later in his career, right, after the third Volk loss, he started like sitting down more on his shots, and then he had a little bit more pop in them, and then he moves up, he puts on some weight to fight Gaethje, and then he seemed like he had more power. But at 45, again, especially recently, the guy is not putting people away, not really doing anything close to that. And the same with Volk. Like, any knockout that guy had, it was an accumulation of damage. Neither of them have anything close to one-punch knockout power. Ilia Topuria, when you watch either of those fights, and that's why another thing that, too, it takes a special eye to see, and which you and I both have, Ilia would go into the fire with both of them time and time again because he had no fear for what was coming back to them. And that's why in both of those fights, especially the Volk fight, I'm spitting all over the place. You see a lot of people, I might have a lisp, I don't know when that happened, but you see a lot of people say, oh, Volk was winning and then he got caught, or Volk looked really good. No, he didn't look good. That is the way Ilia Topuria fights, because he was content getting hit and taking shot after shot because he had no fear of what was coming back at him with Volk. He said, I'm going to keep going into the fire and I'm going to land. And it took him 7 minutes to put him out unconscious. So that was his game plan, and he executed it perfectly. So for people saying, oh, Volk looked good, Volk was having some success. No, he wasn't. That was Ilia's game plan. He did the same exact thing versus Max. Max did look good in that fight, but Ilia was fine continuing to go in and get into range, go into the fire.
And you see him as the fight goes on, he literally starts to just slip these shots. I'll land the jab. I'll lead it. I'll eat it, and then I'm gonna fucking land my 1-2, and it's gonna be a whole fucking other ball game.
Bro, well said. That exactly right. Like, people say that he's willing to take one to give one. He's willing to take 2 to give 1 because he has power unlike anything I've ever seen in the UFC. He had him and Pereira. It's like, or that's like what McGregor did, but like, they go right to sleep, dude. He rocks people. We never saw Max Holloway get dropped, or Gaethje dropped him, but like, he went out, bro. He cracked him twice. But when you watch Josh Emmett, a fight you were there for, when he was fighting a guy with true knockout power, obviously Josh Emmett as a fighter and in the striking does not compare to Max Holloway or Volkanovski, but he has way more power than both of them, and he's put a ton of guys away. Ilia Topuria fought that fight way differently, right? He was a different fighter in that fight than he was versus versus Max or versus Volk. That's why it went the distance. Now he 10-7 him like 3 times. That was he should have knocked him out multiple times. Emmett's a freakazoid. I don't know how he survived. But he did not go in, and he said this multiple times, like, he but he knew the power that was coming back at him, so he fought that fight way differently. Charles Oliveira has way more power than Max and then Volk. We've seen Charles Oliveira knock out real guys. We've seen him hurt real guys at 55. So I think we're going to see a different version of Ilia. Like, I don't know if it's going to be this. Right, we all want to say what you just said, that it's going to be a firefight, that they're going to run in there. And Charles marches. Anytime Charles is fighting a guy where he doesn't fear the wrestling, he's going to march forward, and he's going to be willing to throw. And he's going to be willing to take one to throw one.
Yeah.
You might not want to do that against Ilia Topuria, but I don't know if Ilia wants to do that.
Exactly, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, this isn't a guy that I think you can just – it's not Holloway, it's not Volk. He's not going to be able to – not that he can't take the shots, but – if Charles lands something significant, he can hurt you bad.
Yeah, I always think of the Gaethje fight. Not only after Gaethje said, right, that was the hardest guy I've ever fought. I just fought Poirier. I just fought Chandler. That was the hardest hitter I've ever fought. You remember, Oliveira rocked him 5 seconds into the fight. He stunned him. The first punch he threw against Justin Gaethje, he rocked him. He stunned him. And then he obviously knocked him down badly, which led to the submission. This guy's got real power. So that's the thing that I'm most interested in, because, again, it doesn't matter the skill level. You could say Ilia's way better than Charles if you want to. I'm not saying that. But, again, Ilia fought Josh Emmett as a minus 800 favorite, and he was not he didn't want to go into the fire every time. He knew, I'm way more skilled. I'm a way better boxer. I could box the face off this guy, and I don't have to be eating big punches coming back. That's what I'm very curious about, how he respects, because he knows Charles has that power, and he's a very intelligent guy. So I think the first couple rounds here, we might see it a little more boring than we think, because I think both guys are going to be respecting the other person's power. And the Charles Oliveira meme, right? The guy playing a video game, getting out of his seat. We know that this guy, he gets rocked by everyone. He gets back up, and then it's a different fighter. I don't think that that's happening against Ilia Topuria. This guy's power is different. I don't think he's going to be able to, I got dropped twice and then I come back and win like I did versus Gaethje, like I did versus Dustin, Chandler. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Another thing I'll say, I know I'm ranting like, a tale as old as time. I guess we're back into it. Oliveira, when he fought Chandler most recently, that was a different Oliveira. That was not a guy, that was a smart, that was the most calculated I ever saw him on the feet, especially during his run. Again, he was a wild man, and he would go into the fight. There were so many times, we'll say in the first 4 rounds, because the 5th round, whatever. But in the first 4 rounds, he hurt him a ton, and he was not going for the finish. So I don't know if he's changed his style since, losing to Arman and losing to Islam. But again, that version of Charles seemed very dangerous. So, I mean, I'm just saying, obviously I'm picking Ilia to knock him out in the 3rd round. But that's the thing that I'm most curious about, because if the Emmett fight didn't happen, or if it went differently, then, I'm just going to say Ilia's going to go out there and fight him the same way he fought Max and Volk, but he's not going to. He's made that very clear. So, yeah, man, I'm so excited for this fight. When this is one of those fights, man, this is why we love the UFC. When they walk out, it's going to be, from the moment the Pantoja snooze fest, fuck the flyweights, dude. I was just putting respect. Who cares? That's a bathroom break if I've ever seen one. From the moment that fight ends, you're going to be pacing back and forth. These are the fights that when you watch with your friends, they're like, what is wrong with this dude? They're like, what is wrong? Like, sit down, and you're growling and you're front. Maybe I'm alone in doing this. I shouldn't be airing myself out, but you know what I'm saying? This is one of those where you're just waiting for the first exchange. Absolutely. Again, do you see Charles having any success? So you said it's going to be do you see him?
Yeah, I think if the fight goes longer, depending on what type of fight it is in the first 2 rounds, I will start to I would not be putting money on this fight. Although I'm confident that Ilia, like I want Ilia to win, I think he's going to get the job done. This is not a fight that I would, especially at the odds that it is. Like I would laying Ilia at 3 or 4 to 1 is ridiculous. Like
it got worse the last I checked. Like I think he's minus 450 now. Like
yeah, like that's ridiculous. I'm telling you, Oliveira is going to be so much bigger than him. I don't know. We'll see, dude.
I put up that picture of him next to Rosas, and then there's a picture of Charles next to Rosas too. And everyone was explaining to me bone density and muscle and all that. He already started cutting weight. Like that's great. Like he's 5'6", and Oliveira is a huge 55er, and it doesn't seem like Topuria is going to be. I think he's going to be a regular size 50. He also said he didn't put on any weight. So a lot of guys, when they move up 10 pounds, they maybe put on another 4 or 5 pounds, and maybe he's lying, but he said like this weight cut could not be easier. He didn't put on any extra weight. So I keep wondering if there's just something we're missing. If we're going to look at this in next Sunday and be like, did we miss something? But
I'm telling you, the size could be a problem for sure.
Right? Like, especially what if Oliveira comes out and again, he's never with the jiu-jitsu, but he's never been a guy who's shooting for single legs in the middle of the cage. Like, obviously he loves the clinch. He loves the dirty boxing and elbows, but he's never been like a wrestler. I don't know.
I think Charles is going to look to use the clinch. You get Ilia work in the arms, get him up against the cage. Like, that's what he needs to do. If he makes it just a striking match strictly, I think it's going to be it would be like the Emmett fight where Ilya's just landing and like telling him to get up type of thing. Like, yeah. So I can't wait for this fight, bro. I can't tell you the last fight that was like, this is like one of those big fights that I'll be fucking excited about, bro.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like Pereira Ankalaev. I was hyped for.
I was hyped for that. Yeah.
I know I'm so excited for this fight, man. And then real quick, last thing we'll say, okay, so Ilia knocks him out. Your prediction, Ilia knocks him out in the second round. You're right. That happens. What happens next? So Islam?
Yeah, we wait. Obviously, they're going Islam, JDM. We wait for that. I could see Ilia fighting Islam regardless of the outcome of that, maybe, because I don't know if Islam's going to win that fight, and I think he could fight him if he loses, but I think Islam, if he loses or wins, is going to sit out another 8 months. So Ilia might wait, but I would assume he's not going to. So maybe they go Ilia Gaethje or no. Check that. It'll be Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. Pimblett will probably win, and they'll go Pimblett, Ilia, no doubt about it, 100%.
I know, but like, I guess I'm all on the Paddy Pimblett Express. Like, I think he looked great, but I don't know if that's what we get instead of versus Islam. Like, I would not be happy.
If he fights Islam, I just feel like it's going to be fucking this time next year where they fucking fight. Like,
yeah, you're 100%. Like, bro, the UFC is booked till I believe October. So
I think that's when he's going to fight JDM is October.
Yeah, because they haven't announced, but they go to Abu Dhabi for a pay-per-view every October, so I assume they're going to do that. If not, I've seen some people say that could be MSG, which is always November, but we're familiar with.
They're going to need to book Aspinall ASAP too.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess October will be Islam versus JDM, and then November will be at MSG Aspinall versus Surreal Gone. But yeah, I don't know. The Islam thing gets so weird because we know his game. He doesn't fight very frequently. So, like, and then he's going to be up at 170. Is he even going to want to go back down to 55? I mean, we know how much trouble he's had with that weight cut. He's like 33, 34. I can't see him fighting for that much longer, especially if he gets that welterweight belt. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's going to move back down. We just saw Ilia said he'd move up and chase him to 170. Obviously, I think he walks around at like 155. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't know. I don't see, especially, you think Islam's going to lose to JDM and then go back to 55 with his tail tucked between his legs. It's not happening, bro. If he wins, maybe he goes back down, but
I don't know if he wins, to be honest with you.
I agree, but I'm going with Islam. I think it'll be a super close fight, but you're right. Like the line, it's like even money for a reason. I think everyone just realized how good Bilal and Islam are very similar in terms of their grappling. So, I don't know. It's going to be similar fight to that. And I don't know. I'm back in Islam now, but who knows what could happen. Closing remarks. What do you got for me?
Nothing, man. Good to be back. I'm fucking excited for this one, bro. I can't wait for Ilia to fucking come out of the tunnel. Dude, I can't wait, bro. I'm excited for this one for sure.
Hell yeah. No, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we're back. Fellas, remember, hit that subscribe button. Comment your predictions for the main card in those motherfucking comments. We're back.